Welcome to the deep dive. It feels like almost every new year, or maybe just any given Monday, really, we kind of look in the mirror and think, okay, this is it, new me. And often, right there at the top of the list, dietary changes, maybe ditching sugar, trying out plant-based, or just, trying to eat a bit better overall.
Right.
But here's the thing, and I've definitely been there myself, actually sticking to these new habits, especially the food ones. It's notoriously tough.
Yeah.
They often just, poof, vanish quicker than you can say resolution. So for this deep dive, we've gathered insights from, all sorts of sources, articles, research, even some personal takes to bring you some real strategies, stuff that might actually help you make those changes stick this time.
Exactly. And it really is a universal struggle, isn't it? Whether you're motivated by, say, weight management or maybe specific health goals or even ethical choices.
Yeah.
The basic challenge of staying on track, well, that's common ground for pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't matter why you're changing things up. The how is where most people kind of stumble. So our mission today is to really dig into that. We want to pull out those key bits of knowledge, maybe some surprising facts that go beyond the usual advice, give you a shortcut, sort of, to being well-informed so you can actually dodge that 2-second resolution fate.
Okay, let's get into it. Because I think for me, and probably for a lot of listeners, one of the very first, immediate problems is just how hard it feels at the start. Cutting something out. I remember when I seriously cut back on processed sugar, I swear, for weeks, my brain felt like it was actively staging a revolt. It just wanted that high fructose corn syrup. It felt almost chemical,
Absolutely.
That intense craving for the old stuff, the comfort food. It's pretty brutal.
It really is. And what's fascinating, actually, is the biology behind it. It's not just in your head. Your body and your mind genuinely need that adjustment period.
Right.
When you make a big shift, those cravings, they're very real. They can feel incredibly intense, almost like a physical need. We even saw anecdotes like someone going vegetarian who literally dreamed about bacon.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That's how strong those urges can be initially. But here's the kicker, the really important part of the give it time principle. Research actually shows that the brain's reward pathways, even your taste receptors, they can start to reset in maybe as little as 3 or 4 weeks. If you consistently avoid those super palatable foods, it sort of sensitizes your taste buds to natural flavors.
I think it's easier.
It does. It significantly dials down that neurological demand for the old stuff. So those foods that seem totally essential right now, the sugar, the cheese, maybe a big juicy burger, certain breads, months down the line, you genuinely might not miss them nearly as much. It sounds kind of unbelievable when you're right in the middle of those early cravings, but your system truly does adapt.
Okay, that's actually a huge relief to hear. Because, sometimes it just feels like this permanent state of wanting something you can't have. So it's not just willpower. It's like actively retraining your brain.
That's a really good way to put it. It's a powerful distinction.
But, okay, that brings up another worry. What if you're cutting out a whole food group, like meat or dairy, and you start feeling, not great? I've heard people say they tried going plant-based and just felt totally drained or even sick. Is it actually healthy to make big changes like that without a really solid plan?
That's a super important question, and it's absolutely critical for doing it right. You have to make sure you're getting enough vitamins, minerals, protein, fiber, and just enough calories overall.
Right.
If you just cut out whole groups, dairy, meat, maybe even drastically limiting fruits or veg without actively replacing the nutrients, you're going to create some serious gaps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And those gaps, they're pretty much a guaranteed way for the diet to fail. Plus, it's just plain unhealthy. Like going plant-based, just stopping meat isn't the whole picture. Your body still needs protein.
Okay.
So you need to consciously swap in good plant sources. Things like tofu, seitan, that's weak gluten tempeh, lots of beans and lentils, nuts, whole grains.
So you need a plan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you might need to pay attention to specific things like B12 often need fortified foods or a supplement there, or getting enough iron that your body can actually use. Pairing lentils with vitamin C helps with that. Calcium, too, from fortified milks or greens. It's about understanding those little details.
Wow. Okay.
And honestly, this is key. Before you make any really drastic changes, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor or maybe a registered dietitian.
Gotcha. So it's less about just taking things away and more about smart, planned replacement, understanding the why behind the nutrients. I like that angle.
Exactly.
Okay. And on that note, let's talk about the dreaded diet food.
I think so many of us have this idea that eating healthy equals punishment,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like you're stuck with bland, unsatisfying stuff. I mean, I've tried those fat-free cheeses.
Yeah.
Let's just say they often leave something to be desired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understatement.
It feels like you're just chasing this like sad copy of something you used to enjoy.
You've really hit on something fundamental there. Eating should never feel like a punishment. Ever. If you don't genuinely enjoy your food, that new way of eating,
Right.
it's pretty much doomed.
Right.
And you're spot on about substitutions. Those meat replacements that don't quite taste right, some of those fat-free things, even like gluten-free beer,
Yeah.
they often disappoint because they're trying so hard to be something else.
Exactly.
What's really interesting is the mindset shift required. Instead of trying to make these like pale imitations of old favorites, focus on finding genuinely delicious things that already fit your new plan.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Maybe a Boca burger isn't going to satisfy that craving for a real beef burger.
Probably not.
But maybe a really amazing, flavorful falafel sandwich packed with spices and texture that might totally hit the spot in a different but just as satisfying way.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Or instead of, sadly drinking a watery gluten-free beer, maybe learn to make some fantastic, fancy, non-alcoholic cocktails.
Yeah.
Or mocktails that actually taste great.
Yeah.
And those raw veggies you find boring, they can become something amazing, like a really hearty, flavorful minestrone soup. It's just, enjoyment is totally possible. It just might take a little extra effort to explore and find recipes that really work for you.
That's such a great reframe. It's not deprivation, it's discovery. Culinary discovery, even.
Precisely.
But speaking of finding new recipes, I think another common trap when trying to eat healthier is getting stuck. You find one or two healthy meals, they're quick, they're easy, and then you just make them over and over again, like the classic stir fry.
The stir fry rut. I know it well.
It's healthy, it's adaptable, but man, after a while, I just can't face another stir fry.
You're so right. Stir fry is, look, it's a great go-to. Quick, simple, uses up veggies. Fantastic. But yeah, it definitely gets really boring after a while.
Totally.
If you're just eating the same few things constantly, even healthy things, you're just going to lose steam. Motivation dips.
So what do you do?
Well, this is where it gets kind of exciting, actually. You can use this dietary change as a real opportunity. Embrace the creativity. Don't see it as limiting. See it as like an invitation to find a whole new world of food. Actively look for new food blogs. Try cuisines you've never cooked before. Get out of your kitchen comfort zone.
Okay.
Just learning a couple of new techniques or finding some new spices, that can totally change the game and keep things feeling fresh. Avoid that stir-fry boredom.
That's a great way to think about it, like an adventure.
Yeah.
But, even with all the fun recipes, sometimes it still feels like such a solo battle. It's easy to feel kind of isolated, especially if you're the only one at the dinner table eating differently. Does having support from others actually make a difference? How do people manage that without feeling, totally alone?
Oh, the power of community here is huge.
Yeah.
It really can't be overstated. Our sources are pretty clear on this. Making these changes is much more effective when you do it with other people.
Really?
Yeah. People who are going through similar stuff, feeling the same frustrations. It's incredibly validating, first off, just knowing you're not the only one.
That makes sense.
And it's a fantastic way to learn from each other. Someone might say, oh, I tried that recipe. Don't bother. It was awful, but this one is amazing. Or sharing tips for parties or eating out.
Yeah, practical stuff.
Exactly. So whether it's like actual clubs or maybe meetup groups for specific lifestyles, even just active online forums, these communities can be amazing sources of support, motivation, and real-world advice. It turns it from just your struggle into more of a shared journey.
That's so true. It feels like when you hit a rough patch or you're tempted, just having somewhere to vent or get encouragement could really help.
Definitely.
Because let's be real, those moments are going to happen. You're doing great, and then boom, there's the cookie or the burger. And it's just so easy to forget why you started this whole thing. How do you anchor yourself in those moments before you totally give in?
This is where remembering your why is just absolutely crucial. It's the core reason you started, right? And it needs to be strong enough to push back against those temporary cravings.
Right.
You got to take a second and really revisit it. Was it? You're trying to lower your risk of heart disease, diabetes? Is about fitting into those genes, feeling more confident. Maybe it's ethical reasons, being kinder to animals or the environment, or just wanting more energy day to day. Whatever your specific purpose is, health, looks, ethics, well-being, you have a good, solid reason for doing this. that hamburger you're craving right now, it's not just food. In that moment, it's kind of a barrier to your bigger goal.
Reframing it like that.
Yeah. By consciously connecting that fleeting craving to your deeper purpose, your bigger picture, you give yourself the power to make a choice that actually aligns with what you truly want long term.
That's like having a mental compass when temptation hits.
Right.
Really useful. But okay, let's be totally honest. Even with all these great strategies, mistakes are going to happen.
Yep.
You will slip up. Maybe you consciously decide, okay, just this once. Or maybe you just grab something without thinking. And then comes the guilt, right? And it's so easy to just think, oh, forget it. I messed up. Might as well quit.
This is maybe one of the most important pieces of advice, honestly. And it comes across with a lot of compassion in the source material.
Okay.
Basically, mistakes happen. You will slip up consciously or subconsciously. It's inevitable.
Okay.
The absolute key is don't beat yourself up. Just don't spiral. The second you realize you slipped up, acknowledge it. Okay, that happened. Accept it. And then immediately shift your focus.
Yeah.
Right? How do I try not to do that again?
Not let it ruin everything.
Exactly. One mistake, one cookie, one unplanned meal. It does not erase all the good choices you've made. It just doesn't. The real danger is letting that one slip up make you feel so bad that you just give up entirely.
Yeah, the what the heck effect.
Precisely. Treat it like a learning moment, not a total failure. Get right back on track with your very next meal or snack. Just keep moving forward. Consistency over perfection. That's seriously the secret weapon for making this last. So if we kind of tie this all together, right, making dietary changes stick really seems to boil down to a few core things. Having patience with yourself, with your body adjusting, planning thoughtfully, making sure you're nourished and finding foods you actually like, actively looking for support from others, constantly reminding yourself of your powerful why, and maybe the biggest one, just practicing some self-compassion when you do inevitably stumble.
That's a brilliant summary. It really isn't about being perfect right out of the gate, is it? It's about that steady progress, learning as you go, and just understanding it's a journey with ups and downs. What really stands out to me from all this is that shift. It's less about restriction, less about what you're losing, and more about like thoughtful exploration, finding new ways to enjoy food and feel good.
Well said.
So, for you listening right now, what's maybe one single small step inspired by what we talked about today that you could take this week? Something to make your own goals feel less like a punishment and maybe a bit more like an exciting exploration. Just something to think about. Let that guide your next move.